The Oris Big Crown Pointer Date. Oris have produced a fabulous selection of watches over the years, but it can be argued there are none better than the 38mm Big Crown Pointer Dates which came out a few years back. My wife would claim that the Aquis are even better, but I disagree with her about a few things, and this is one of them. With a list price of £1,900 or about $2,500, excluding any tariffs, and regularly to be found discounted, this is a cracking little watch. Still an independent, Oris was founded in 1904, the same year as Rolex, so it can be regarded as a traditional watchmaker. It brought out the first Big Crown in 1938, the large crown being for the benefit of pilots who still wore gloves and big jackets in those days. These days, pilots mainly wear shirt sleeves and designer sunglasses. Not as cool, but the Big Crown looked good, so they've stuck with it. The other aspect covered by the Name Your Watch by Describing It policy is the pointer date. I really like this feature, and it's not usually found in watches at this price point. Date windows invariably unbalance the watch face, 6 o'clock being the most symmetrical position and 4:30 being the most clumsy. If you do away with the window altogether and utilise an extra hand to point at the date, the face looks better, as indeed it does here. In fact, the face looks fantastic, with this fume effect darkening towards the edge and the beautiful shade of pale blue. Oris's marketing department refer to the three colours available in this 38mm range as alpine hues, purportedly taking inspiration from alpine landscapes and lakes. I don't know if they were looking at this exact picture, but it certainly seems to cover it. There's the green, the grey and the blue. Whatever the inspiration, they are glorious, but I think the blue is the pick of the crop. The fume effect combined with the Art Deco cathedral hands and numbering, the railroad minute track and delicate date indicator all combine beautifully. If you enjoy a retro look, this watch will not disappoint. Everything on the face is loomed, but the loom does fade over time and is pretty faint by dawn. The numbers fade first and disappear completely within a few hours, the hands and indices lasting longer. You don't exactly have to turn the light on to check the time, but it can take a moment or two. The pointer date itself is remarkable insofar as it suddenly clicks across to the new date within 2 minutes of midnight. None of those sluggish date changes completed about 02:30 here. The face is surrounded by another feature I really like, the coin-edged bezel. It has no discernible functionality other than to look good, but it does an excellent job of it. It is also very tactile, which is a bonus. The 38mm case size is also a nod to the heritage of the watch. 1930s watches were considerably smaller than those of today, and indeed you can get a 36mm, but I think this 38 looks better on the wrist. There are also 40mm variants and indeed bronze options. In fact, Oris has pretty much covered all the bases with this range, but for me, the 38 is the sweet spot. The lug to the lug is a proportionate 45mm with a 19mm strap width tapering down to 15mm at the buckle. The lugs are tapered down and finish with a lovely edge at 90 degrees to the tangent of the curve. It looks really neat, and looking at some of the clumsy lugs available on far more expensive pieces elsewhere, I wonder why other brands haven't noticed just how good this looks. It came with this lovely Servo Volante strap and bonus credit card holder and travel case. Why? Well, every year the Swiss cull about 12,000 wild deer, in order that, with almost no natural predators, their numbers simply don't overwhelm the natural environment. The bright idea that you could then make things with this naturally occurring, fully sustainable source of leather was a bit genius, as was ensuring the tanning process uses no harmful chemicals. For Oris, whose environmental credentials are deeply embedded into their corporate culture, sourcing their straps from Servo Volante was a no-brainer. I've been regularly wearing this one for about 2 years now, and it has worn a little, but still looks pretty good. The depth is 13mm, including this fabulous double-domed sapphire crystal, which again echoes back to the thick plexiglass which would have been used in the 1930s and 40s. It's just superb and adds to the feel of the watch. The movement is the ever-reliable Sellita SW200. Founded in 1950, Sellita was a major supplier of parts to ETA until that arrangement came to an end in 2003, after which Sellita began making their own movements based on the expired patents of, you've guessed it, ETA. So, the Sellita SW200, 215, 400, based on the ETA 2824-2 and 2836-2, have come to be the regular movements of choice for anyone without easy access to ETA movements. That list has expanded considerably in recent years, after the Swatch Group decided they no longer wanted ETA, their wholly owned movement maker, to supply rival watch brands. Sellita have happily filled that newly created gap in the market, and given the similarities between their products, and many manufacturers have been purportedly able to do direct swaps with little or no new machining required for the Sellita movement to drop into their existing cases. Incidentally, I can never understand why some Sellita SW200 powered watches in my collection gain time like an Olympic sprinter chasing down a man pushing a lawnmower. After a few weeks I could easily be 3 minutes ahead, but at least I wasn't late for any appointments, I suppose. Well, it turns out there are 4 grades of the veritable SW200 available. The highest being the COSC certified -4 to +6 seconds a day, the lowest being an astounding -+30 seconds a day. In my experience, they all invariably gain time, which is by far the best option, as correcting it simply involves stopping the watch for a minute or so. But this one isn't too bad at all. It still gains time though, obviously. Oris make the modifications to install the pointer date function and also put their own branding on the rotor. They also apply some dark red paint. I've never understood this, and it has always been my least favourite feature of their watches, by some margin. This is a very well priced and well made watch, not a hideously expensive pair of shoes. An added advantage of the Sellita movement is that pretty much any decent watchmaker or repair shop will be equipped to deal with it, and it's a known quantity with a proven track record. Oris do make a variant with their own excellent caliber 473 movement. This increases the power reserve from the standard Sellita 39 hours to a whopping 120 hours, which is extremely impressive, but they're about twice the price of the Sellita variants. All this indicates that this version is very good value. With bargains aplenty on the internet, it can be yours for around £1,500 or even less. It's pretty hard to argue with that sort of value.